TimeShot, yes, TimeShot. I'm in the place where my friends are, and I know together we'll go far. Yeah, TimeShot, yes, TimeShot. And I'm still doing things the TimeShot way.
Hello, people. It's Poet, and we're back. I'm just inside of Wynn's base here, and she's been working on doing some kind of a bone-shaped ice pond thing underneath. Anyway, cool to see some progress from people who have been more or less inactive. I helped out. This shovel I actually almost broke, and then I went and I repaired it. That cool story, bro. But seriously, like I was sitting here for probably a good hour or so while Wynn was online, just collecting snowballs like this. And for the first time since the update to 1.12 with the new advancements and the crafting recipe book and stuff, for the very, very first time in pretty well this instance only, I really, really, really appreciated it, because you get, you know, this kind of a situation here. And let's just, for kicks and giggles, look at this. You click on what you can craft, and you see snow right away. If I hold down Shift and click it, it actually puts in all the requirements to get a full snow block 16. If I just click it once, then it just does the one. So I Shift click, and I just keep doing this a bunch of times, making sure not to accidentally click button, though it only give me 2. And there you go. Rather than the old way, of course, would be to get the snowballs in your inventory and then go like this and then click. It removes a step and makes it all the easier. So I was helping her out that way. But man, does that ever save time, just being able to click, click, click. But this is really the only case that I can think of where that kind of fast crafting would come in handy. Because, I mean, otherwise, generally, you don't want to craft all items in your inventory. You don't want to have a full 4 stacks of things. Like, I'm trying to think of another instance where I would use that kind of a feature, and I can't really think of one, I'll be honest. Maybe with slime balls is another issue if you're making slime blocks. Redstone is maybe another issue. Making redstone blocks would be kind of handy that way. So it does have its merits, believe it or not. But for the most part, it's completely useless, and I don't want to use it. And I mean, despite it being useful in that sense, like I just used it, despite that, I still am one to agree with people like Edson who say, you know, it takes something away from the way that Minecraft is. Over-tutorializing video games is an issue that video games have been having for years. Years and years and years. You know, back in the old day, you used to pick up a game and, well, how do you figure out how to play this? Well, you just figure it out. You just play around with it. You try things. You hit the standard keys that you usually do. WASD. Oh, what does spacebar do? Oh, it jumps. Okay. Does control do anything? Oh, it makes me toggle run. Okay. What does shift do? Oh, shift crouches. Oh, and it slows me down. Oh, you know, like, this is how you figure out how to play a game, right? Having the game say to you, go to a tree and punch it, see what happens, you know, like that kind of thing. Absolutely can't stand it. Can't stand that. And as well, like, you know, figuring out the recipes, at least for standard non-modded things in Minecraft. Look at it, as I'm talking about it. Look at the top right. Shut up. I don't want to find a tree. I want to find it. I know how to punch a tree. I've been playing this game for 5 years. But anyway, Even if I hadn't been playing this game for 5 years, I'm sure that I'd be able to figure out that you can punch a tree. Anyway, I digress. The recipe thing is part of the game. It's part of the exploration. It's part of... It's just as akin to learning how to play a game, you know, learning how to walk around as it is anything else. Crafting is that fundamental to this game. Taking that away, making it so that you only have to just click a button is bizarre and strange. And just why? Why do you unlock the recipes before you do them? That's my question. And maybe it's because my account is so... I don't like... If you just open a Minecraft account for the first time, log in, does it unlock the recipes in the same way? Because let's see here. Have I unlocked this recipe yet? No, look. See? New recipe unlocked. Check your recipe book. And it shows me how to make sugar. If I open up this, it shows me how to make paper. You know? I don't have to figure that out. The way that this should work, Minecraft devs who obviously watch me all the time, is that, like, it should show you nothing. It should show you nothing. But then when I do this, then it should say, oh, recipe discovered, sugar, you know? When I do this, it should say, oh, recipe discovered, paper. That's how that should work. That's how that should work. But instead, it just shows you all the recipes for an item when you first pick up the item. And that's lame. Oh, okay, rant complete. I'm actually with this repaired shovel that I've got. And yes, by the way, if you've watched Adram's video, he did come in here and steal a bunch of... I mean, the boots, you know me. I don't wear diamond boots anyway. Hashtag rubber booties. He also took a shovel or two. And my diamond hoe! My diamond hoe! No! Not my hoe! Not my precious, precious hoe. I actually haven't used that hoe in quite a while. If you don't remember, I had the diamond hoe because the savannah, this area here especially, it was all coarse dirt. And if you click with a hoe on coarse dirt, it turns it into normal dirt. So I was making use of that like crazy. But I haven't used it in a while. There's some coarse dirt right there that I could have used it on maybe. But he took my hoe anyway, so goodbye hoe. It's been fun. Destroy the tree. Hold down left click. Shut up. Seriously. Go away. Go away. Where's the X on the corner? Like the shut up button. Serious. Like, why is that not a thing that you can't shut those messages off? Or is it just so buried in the settings that we can't find it? I don't know. Anyway, other announcement to make if you're still watching. If you haven't run away from all these rants. We have the overviewer updated thanks to Spacey MC as usual. It's always a wonderful thing to see people in the community that have that level of caring, that dedication to detail and so on and so forth. I just love looking at that overviewer. I've said that many a time, where, you know, just to be able to see how my base progresses. And I do this. I open the overviewer, and then I click back and forth between like this month and last month, this month, last month, this month, and the beginning. And I do that a number of times, just kind of to see how my base has progressed. And then once that's done, I use the overviewer to kind of map out, like, where should I put this build? Or where on the overviewer would benefit from a build, and so on. So you can check out the overviewer. It is in our TimeShot Discord. The link to the Discord is in the description of this video, but you can also find it if you just go to discord.gg/TimeShot. So, today, I'm going to be clearing out this jungle area a bit. what we decided is that... Okay, so here's the thing. Update on the Parrot situation. Apparently, another community member of ours, Jordy, was on Edson's patron server testing some things out. And it looks to be that parrots will spawn in new chunks on grass. They will actually spawn in on new chunks on grass. But I think that once the chunks have been loaded in, they simply won't spawn in anymore on the grass chunks because they are mob capped by passive mobs. So that was another thing that I said, I think, that they were part of the hostile mob cap. That was something in one of the snapshots. It is passive mob cap. So this little guy right here, for example, who just died, sacrificed to the parrot gods, he is the reason why no parrots are spawning in naturally here for some reason. Apparently it's that sensitive. It becomes so rare an occurrence for parrots to spawn in that, as you saw in my demonstration where I went around in my single-player flat world, flying around trying to find new parrots, even with new chunks loading in, could not find any because of the passive mob cap. So basically, the more areas you have for ocelots to spawn, the less parrots are going to spawn, just naturally, because there are going to be ocelots taking up those valuable parrot spawning spots. You understand? You following me? Though I don't see much of anything. Even that cow is contributing to why parrots do not spawn in. I don't kill cows normally on my dinosaur worlds. Mr. Mocking Cow is a wonderful cow that I love to pieces. You can even buy Mr. Mocking Cow t-shirts. But this is not Mr. Mocking Cow. This is Mr. Anti-Parrot Spawning Cow. And Mr. Anti-Parrot Spawning Cow is gonna die. Don't you walk away from me! Mr. Anti-Parrot Spawning Cow died to the cause. Things like chickens, things like pigs, things like sheep, things like llamas. They all contribute to why parrots don't spawn in. And they must all die. Simple as that. So anyway, apparently there is a very, 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 very small chance that they will spawn in on grass. Very small chance. So small that, like I showed, I did not see it, and that was me flying around. I flew around for probably a good 20 minutes looking around, flying around, doing /kill at E, flying around again. There were just no parrots spawning in. Just none. So, the way that you can avoid other passive mobs spawning in, aka the ocelots, is by doing what I had tried, by placing down the logs. Okay? So now I got to figure out, because we decided that we were going to level this out to one level, and I think it's going to be this level here, 65. What is this? 64. We're going to take it down to 60. Look at these guys. See, this is the problem. They're all the problem right now. It looks like this level right here. Oop. Wow, shovel though. This level right here is going to be the one that's easiest to flatten out the majority of the blocks to. And then once we get it all to one level, should we do it? Should we build it up to here? And then fill in the rest here. Definitely more exists on layer 64, which is right here. Yeah, it's a bigger area. Layer 64. This would all be floating in the air, but that's okay too. Yeah, it should be okay. So I'm just going to take everything down to layer 64. There we go. So this is something... I'm probably going to be doing this mindlessly as well. As you know, mindless mining is a thing where we... Let's turn down my game sounds just a bit, because that's annoying. Was that block sound? Yeah. There, that's better. As you guys know, mindless mining is a thing that happens very seldomly, but it is a thing where we kind of just talk about random topics as we mine for materials and stuff. What we were going to be doing, we talked about it in our private chat, was that we should do a mindless leveling of the jungle. Start at the top layers here, for example, and just work our way down. Don't really know what our border is for this build yet, so I'm just gonna level everything. I'm gonna go right up to the tree line. I don't know where we're stopping. Like, maybe we're gonna just draw a line right here and say, like, okay, this is where our jungle ends. This is where our jungle spawn pad ends. But I'm gonna go right to the lake, like basically up to those trees. Like, I'm not gonna stop. We can sort it out later. This shovel will survive. Let's do that. But in the meantime, I'm going to do this on my own. And while I do this on my own, I don't really have a mindless topic to talk about, but I actually was watching a video the other day. It was a... I don't know that it was a... It wasn't a TED Talk, but it was something similar to that. I don't remember. It's something that I don't think I've seen before. And Anasia actually posted it on Twitter, and she said, I'm curious to see what you guys think of this. And it was a guy talking about millennials, which is the group of people roughly my age. You know, we were always like Gen X when I was growing up, or even called Gen Y when I was growing up. But apparently now they've named us millennials. People, I'm just kind of on the edge of what would be considered a millennial, to the point where I don't really feel like I am, if that makes sense. Like, I feel that when someone mentions millennials, that millennials are getting into the workplace now and stuff, I think about people who are just turning 18 right now, people who are just shy of 18 right now. So, you know, that's half my age almost. You know, I'm not that old, but it's getting there. It's quite a few years difference. You know, you can't just say, oh, you're in your 30s, so you're a millennial. Oh, and you're also not even 18, you're also a millennial. Like, that's a pretty huge gap. But either way, whether I am or am not a millennial, I do have an opinion about millennials in the workplace. I try not to say as much. I notice that I catch myself saying a lot in these videos lately. And I also feel like I say, the other thing I catch myself saying a lot is, you know what I mean? You know what I mean? I say that a lot. You know what I mean? I say that a lot. You know what I mean? So I'm trying not to say that as much, but I often can't catch myself. Let me just throw... You know what? I saw on the overviewer, speaking of that overviewer earlier, I saw that somebody had been to the dirt cert, the excavation... A trap chest? What the crap? Why? That's funny. Okay. Anyway, I noticed that someone had been to the dirt cert and had excavated some dirt. So I was thinking to myself, well, gee, you know, just come here. Look at all the... We're going to have dirt for days now. Dirt for days. All right. Excuse me. So, where was I with the millennials thing? So, this video that Anasia retweeted and asked opinions on was about millennials in the workplace and how they're perceived by, I guess, executives in the workplace, or people who have been in the workplace for many, many years, and kind of how they even perceive themselves, how they behave, and so on. I know a lot of it is stereotypical, that not all people who are millennials are this way, but the general impression is that they're lazy, entitled, impatient, and let me try to think of something else. Like, basically, if you're a millennial and you're in the workplace, you expect the world, and if you don't achieve that, or even if you do, you're going to get bored and move on to the next project very, very soon. And now, I've been in management. I've actually been a manager in charge of hiring people. I know what that's all like. And I remember even reading studies that were indicating, you know, like, the generation that is in the workplace right now, that is just entering the workplace right now, their average, this is an insanely low number, but their average number of years before moving, before leaving, before quitting and going somewhere else is 2 years. 2 years. 2 years is not a long time to be in a corporation. 2 years. I mean, I remember, you know, the last job I had, I was there for 7 years. And even after 7 years, I easily could have seen myself essentially living there for another 7 years. Easily could have seen myself being there for longer if I had to be. Luckily, YouTube came along and pulled me away from that life, but I could have seen myself doing that. And it didn't seem like I had been there very long at all. Like, I still had so much to learn. My job was evolving all the time. There was something new every day, even though I had been there for 7 years. See, I said again. But seriously, 2 years, by the second year, I knew nothing. I certainly wasn't about to be promoted by that time. I got promoted in my, I'm going to say could have been my late 4th or 5th year. I think it was my 5th year is when I got promotion to manager. And so, like, I don't understand how millennials, if that's the group we're calling it, how they expect to succeed in the business world if they're only spending 2 years at a place on average. Now, something distinguishing for my corporation when I was there is that we had people with longevity in the business. I think the total experience on the administration staff alone was like 150 years combined experience. People who had been there for almost 30 years. Some people who had been there for 30 years. Never mind 2 years. They'd been there all their lives. Like, seriously, about half of their adult lives, because they were, you know, retirement age, roughly, these people who had been there for 30 years. Half of their adult lives, they had been working for this company. And the funny thing is that, like, as I was leaving, when I quit, when I left that place, there was already a shift going on because several others had quit, the people who had been there for 15, 20 years, so on and so forth. They had quit for various reasons. Some had retired, some had gone to different places, some had moved. When they left, they were replaced by people who were younger, people who would be considered millennial age. And I witnessed it firsthand that, like I say, I was there 7 years. So in my 4th year or so, someone who had been there for 20 years left and was replaced by someone younger, a lot younger, even than I was. And they only stayed for about 2-3 years and then quit. Others who were getting hired, especially in administration, so like the secretaries, the receptionists, the office admins, they were getting hired and then were leaving sometimes within 6 months. Like, sometimes really, really, really quick. They were getting either fed up with how things were and were moving on, or, you know, just couldn't cope with the way that the business worked. So why is that? Now, this video that Asia posted, it mentions things like, you know, millennials are lazy, millennials are entitled, millennials demand, you know, perfection, and then when they don't get it, they feel terrible about themselves and leave because they don't think they can cope, stuff like that. And maybe there's something to all of that. I think that it's not that businesses haven't adjusted to meet the demands of a millennial workforce. I think that it's that millennials themselves haven't realized that, you know, an old-fashioned business is going to remain an old-fashioned business, and they better adapt. The adaptability isn't there, and that's what shocks me. Because you would think that today's generation, growing up, would have the ultimate ability to adapt, especially with technology always changing and growing and modifying, and, you know, the ability to change the way that you do everything literally happens in the course of seconds. Look at Discord, for example. Nobody was using anything like Discord. Skype was about as close as we got. A single chat room on Skype. Discord comes along, and everybody's using it functionally, fluently, and to the extreme. That's something that just appeared. We adapted. We took advantage of it, and, you know, it happens overnight. We've made the change, I think, from like the TimeShot guys. We made that change to Skype, or from Skype to Discord, over the course of, like, you know, I think it was literally a message in the Skype that we had. We had a private Skype chat. We said, oh, by the way, we're just going to Discord now. And ta-da! You have to adapt. So you'd think that this generation would be really adaptable, but no. They want something done a certain way, and if it's not done that certain way, it's not that they adapt to it, it's that they reject it. And that also, I think, stems from the way that technology works. Because, you know, while Discord, you can switch to it overnight, the fact that things like TeamSpeak and Skype and so on have been trying and doing these things for years, sort of unsuccessfully, you know, people abandon it just as fast as they accept something else. Where does the fault lie is my question, I guess. Does the fault lie with the people being inflexible? The people who run these corporations that hire millennials, are they inflexible? They are not appealing to millennials? Or is it the millennials not adapting to the older businesses? You know, I don't know which one it is. The video, like I said, definitely implied that it was the millennials at fault. And I don't know if that's entirely the case. I think that there is something that has to be done in business to appeal to people. You know, it's so standard. Like, even just looking the way that tech companies run their companies now. You look at video games. Of course, you're going to look at video games from this channel, but, you know, the early access model. We've talked about it. It's pros. It's huge amount of cons. But everybody does that certain thing now, because if you do it the old way, it's not going to be appealing to the millennials who play your games, and you're going to die out. You don't see very many game companies fighting against that current and sticking with the old way of developing video games. Very, very few these days are doing that. And the ones that do that, you had better have an amazing product, or people will slam your game when it's released for being in development for too long and not providing what they deserve. There's the entitlement, maybe. But it's interesting to think that, like, the video that Anasia posted, I wish I could find, I might try to find the link to it. You can always just check out her Twitter, scroll for days, and you might find it as well. Talking about millennials in the workplace. Maybe even a quick YouTube search will find it. But at the end of the day, like, it talks about technology being at fault for why millennials are entitled, why they expect to change the world in their roles. you know, the social interaction isn't there anymore because we're always attached at the hip by our phone, texting, browsing, talking on sites like Discord, where that social interaction, that one-to-one person interaction that was key before to business, especially in sales, just kind of no longer exists or is dying out. So that not existing was blamed a lot for why millennials are the way that they are, that you should try to put your phone down and interact with people a little bit more. I agree. That is a great thing that people should do a lot. Like, I really feel that we are attached to our phones way too much. When I go out to dinner with people, when I sit in a meeting with people, I try to make sure that I don't have my phone out. In fact, like the other day, when me and Asia, Code, and Win, and then Win's kids all went out for dinner while I was in Michigan, I made a point of telling Win, like I said to her, put your phone down when we get there. I know how you're going to be. Put your phone down. Don't use it as a safety buffer. Just put it down. Because that is what people use it as. They use it as a safety net. You know, I can avoid an awkward silence if I look like I'm busy on my phone. Give me a break. I can see right through that. I saw right through that before you said a thing. But seriously, like, I think that it's also taking away from that interaction. Yes, have an awkward moment. Maybe there will be awkward moments. But it doesn't mean that awkward moments are necessarily bad. And it doesn't mean that you can't recover by having several good moments. You know? I made a point during that same dinner. I didn't even bring my phone with me. Didn't bring my phone with me. I think that it encouraged me to talk more, to be open more, to communicate more the old-fashioned way by using my mouth and talking to people. And it's not like I'm shy. I'm not going to shy away anyway, but I know that if I had had my phone with me, I probably would have at least glanced at it, looked at it, maybe even texted on it. I don't want to be that kind of a person. I have to put my phone away, and I made a point of that. So it was kind of interesting to see this video saying that that was kind of how you avoid being your stereotypical millennial who's entitled and lazy, by interacting with people. Oh no, my shovel! Oh crap! Oh, that was mending. Oh, it feels like I just got stabbed. Oh, I'm losing life essence here because of this shovel being gone. Oh boy, I have another shovel. Luckily, one that Adam didn't take. We've actually cleared out. It doesn't look like we've cleared out a lot from this level, but if you jump up just a tad, we've cleared a lot of space just now. Still a ways to go. I think that, yeah, the technology is part of the issue, and it does make you a better person communicably. It makes you communicate better. When you don't have a phone with you and so on and so forth. I've also talked in the past, completely unrelated subject, but about the dangers of just talking to people online, not knowing who they are in real life. You've got an entire television show, hit series on MTV called Catfish, about people who chat online and scam people into believing that they're someone else. There is something about that one-to-one interaction that you just cannot safely even achieve through technology. So I think that, yes, there is something to be said about that one-to-one interaction, talking to people, being face-to-face with them, putting your phone away, being real. At the same time, you know, being in that group that loves technology the way that I am and seeing the benefit that it can have, I don't think that throwing it away completely is the way to go. And I don't see how that really relates to businesses in general. If someone typically is bored with their job, it's not because of, that they talk with a cell phone in their hand. That's not going to change anything. It's more to the very, very, very first points of that video that she posted talks about. In that I grew up all my life being told that you can do whatever you want to do and you can accomplish whatever you want to accomplish. And even I am guilty of saying those types of things to people, that if you don't like the way that you... I said it when I left my office job for YouTube. If you want to follow your dreams, then follow them. Don't you let your dreams be dreams, Shia LaBeouf? He's right. But this is what we've been taught. This is what we're told constantly, that you can do whatever you want to do, and that's really all that there is to it. I'm going to take this. I'm going to see if I can... Maybe I'll go to the end farm and see if I can't put some other enchants on this shovel here. See what I can do with 47 levels. So we grow up... excuse me. We grow up, and I say we in general. Me not so much, and maybe that's kind of why I say I'm kind of... If you qualify me as a millennial, I'm maybe on the edge of that, because I grew up in a way where my parents never gave me anything. They never did. Well, I can't say that. They fed me. They clothed me. They cared about me. But when it came to like, hey, I want to buy a computer, their response was, okay, go get a job. Hey, I want my first car. Can I have it as a graduation gift? That would be so far away from the realm of possibility. You have no idea. I had to go out and buy my first car. There was no such thing as a graduation gift. I never got a grad gift. I never got birthday presents while growing up. Some say, oh, that's punishment, as you were punished as a child not getting birthday presents. What kind of cheapskate parents that didn't love you were they? But it was all about doing it myself, learning how to do it myself, accomplishing it myself. When I bought my first house, moving in and fixing things up, I had to learn and do largely on my own. I had to figure it out and do it on my own. There was nobody who was going to help me. It was about learning, and I just, I had to do it myself because no one else would. And that ability to learn and do it for myself and not expect that it was going to be handed to me and fighting for what I had is what made me strong and who I was. But I can definitely see that there are people growing up these days who are entitled in that way, that you can do anything kind of possibility, that if you don't like something, then don't do it. If you want to become a pig farmer, then go and raise some pigs. If you want to become a paleontologist, go out and dig fossils. There's nothing that you can't do, regardless of your skill set, regardless of your mentality, regardless of anything. There's nothing that you can't accomplish. And that is true. That is true. Let's not take away from that. That is absolutely true. But it doesn't mean that there's availability for everyone. And it doesn't mean that you're going to be qualified enough. There are a lot of obvious things out there on why you won't always be able to accomplish your dreams. Sometimes money is the key factor, I would love to be a world-class Renaissance painter, Renaissance style painter, but I would starve to death. I think that, yeah, there is something to be said about money being a huge aspect to the... Oh, man. No mending. I want unbreak... no unbreaking either. Where are books? Are there books somewhere here? Books. Sweet. Okay, let's enchant some here. Enchant. Should I do level 1s or level 30s? do level 30s. Looting. But yeah, it's that mentality that you can do whatever you want to do, and don't take no for an answer, and don't let anybody tell you that you can't do this thing. And it's sort of shocking to people when they are told, no, you can't do this, or no, you are failing, or no, you didn't accomplish your dreams. I think because people have grown up all their lives believing that, wait a minute, I'm supposed to be able to come in here and do whatever I want. Because that's what I was taught. That's how I was raised. That's the way that my generation is. What do you mean I can't be a manager after working here for 6 months? What do you mean I can't get paid $1 million a year? It's sort of that way. And yeah, I think that people need a reality check more often than not. They need to really realize that no, sometimes you can't get what you want. So that talk really, it stirred me a little. It stirred me in that, like, I didn't think about it too much before then, that this generation was really entitled. I wouldn't call people these days lazy. That's unfair. But I do think that, yeah, we expect that we are going to have a participation reward, whether we do good or not. And, let's see, protection is better than sharpness, right? These are not sorted very well, I feel like. Protection. Are they alphabetical? They're alphabetical, okay. Interesting. Power, efficiency. There is no power. Oh, yeah, power. Efficiency would be over here. We can sort. We can do this. I didn't get unbreaking, though. Oh, did I? I got unbreaking 1. Unbreaking 1 there as well. I can combine the two. There we go. Put it on there. Yay. we're getting there. So what are your thoughts on this? Especially those of you who are younger in my audience here. Do you feel that your generation, maybe not you specifically, or maybe you specifically, I don't know, maybe you'll be very honest, but do you feel like you are entitled? Do you feel that, like, if a job doesn't give you what you want right away, that you have to quit rather than caressing it and shaping it and making it a thing? Because that's the way that it used to be, is that if you didn't like your job, then you just dealt with it and made it what it could be by hard work and adapting and changing. It's no longer the case now, is it? Is it? So, what are your thoughts on that? Do you agree? Do you disagree? Now, obviously, there are those out there who do work really, really hard with what they do. Band of our arthropods. That's a terrible metal band name. Respiration or looting? Obviously, looting is better, typically. So I'm going to throw it over there. Where are we? L. Looting. Here we go. And now power is the last one. Okay, there we go. Really had to struggle my alphabet there. But we didn't get too good of an unbreak. I guess I could have kept going with the books. Gotten a few more level 1 enchants, maybe even gotten up to unbreaking 3. But in the meantime, this will be fine. I can go back to work on that thing. This video's gone on for way too long now, either way. But yeah, I'm just curious as to what your opinions are on this whole discussion about, you know, how do we solve the issue where people leave after only 6 months to 2 years of being in a job because they're unhappy? Why are they unhappy? Because they grew up believing that they were amazing and that they could accomplish their dreams no matter what. And then, you know, it's sort of a funny system, but that mentality of, you know, if money didn't exist, okay, if everybody had whatever they wanted, there would be nobody left to pick up the garbage on the streets. Now, I'm not demeaning anybody in that sense, but it's just sort of that old mentality that, you know, if everybody got what they wanted, then nobody would do the menial tasks. And those menial tasks are important. They are valid. They are meaningful. They do have purpose in our lives, in our societies. We can't all be paleontologists. So how do we make people happy doing the jobs that they don't like? That is the real question. I don't know that there is an answer for that. Maybe there is no way to make people happy these days. Maybe people should just be sad and upset about their job lives like people used to be for years and years and years and years. Because nobody in the past was ever happy with their jobs. But yet it is kind of a weird thing that these days a lot of people do have their dream jobs. And I hear more often than not, I love where I work. I'm so happy here. This group is amazing, so on and so forth. Whereas when I was growing up and when I was just entering the workforce, you know, I used to hear staff members, people who I would be coworkers with, grumbling, frustrated, tired, aggravated. You know, maybe they'd worked there for 30 years, but it was 30 years of hell. They didn't like it. They didn't want it. Is that changing? Should that change? Maybe the people saying that the millennials are wrong have it wrong. Maybe the right amount of time for a person to stay in a business is 2 years. In which case, the entire way that we train people, the entire way that we hire people has to change. Do we start hiring remotely more often rather than, you know, oh, you want to be my admin assistant? Okay, well, come into this office in this city. No, maybe that person can be hired online and work online. Maybe from around the world, you know, should that kind of thing change? Is that the way to do it? I actually think yes. Maybe there's something to it. So think about that. And with that, we're ending the video. Sorry that it took 50 minutes to get all of that out. And I know that I muddled through it. I said a lot. I probably said you know a lot. But again, once again, say hello to our newest member, Adram. I don't know that I said that in the beginning, but he is our newest member. I have, I think, posted now a video with him in it already. He did steal some of my stuff. He thinks that I have that in my inventory. I do not. I do not. He thought I had it in my inventory. I did not. Next, check out the overviewer. You can check it out on the TimeShot Discord. Link is in the description below. And we'll see you guys next time on TimeShot. Bye-bye.